Start in whatever position feels most comfortable. This position, which is called the constructive rest pose, is really comfortable for me. And another option that I like is to just lay on my stomach with my head in my hands. So whatever's working today, just let's do a couple minutes of just focusing. Start to do a little bit of motion with the body. You can move arms and legs a little bit. We're just slowly making our way into a seated position. If you're on your back, you can always go through the fetal position so that you can use your hands to help bring you up. What we're going to do is some hip and torso work to start off with. And so we're going to start with this right leg and just do a little bit of rocking just to make certain it's, just doing a little status check. Because we're going to go into a half lotus or easy seated position. And you might find by doing this that you're like, nope, it's definitely the easy seated position. And then when we're ready, right leg's on top or right leg's in front, whichever you would prefer. I'm going to do some cat and cow flow from the seated position. So we'll start almost like we're trying to grab a giant beach ball, and then we'll open up and release the chest and the neck. So just moving between these two poses. We're still going with our breath. We want the exhale to be on the cat pose and the inhale to be on the cow pose. Just trying to stay synchronized with our breath. One more. We'll start off with our hands by your sides. We're going to keep the right arm out a little bit longer, and then we're going to inhale left arm overhead and then exhale, come back up. So I just leave my fingertips down on the ground, and then we're moving the arm. We're starting to warm up that shoulder and side of the torso. When we finish up, we'll bring hands to heart center. We'll start here. You might find that you want to do this slightly differently, and I'll give some options. We're going to twist to just the right and inhale, release. And so it's this half twist and release. If you want, the hands stay at heart center, or you can just gently tap the hands down. And one more. When we finish, we're going to lean over the legs if that's comfortable. It's still pretty early in class, so you don't need to go down into the deepest variation of this pose. We place our hands on our thighs and very gently bring the torso back up. Let's bring the knees up and straighten them out, just taking just a little bit of break between sides. So you start out with just shaking out the legs, and then if you'd like, a forward fold over the leg. Once again, you might not really be warmed up to get very deep into the pose just yet, and that's fine. Come back up, and we're going to start to switch sides. So we tucked the right foot under already, and then we're going to do that cradling motion on the left side of the leg. Now, one of the things is there is no guarantee that this side feels the same as the other side. It might feel looser, it might feel tighter, and so we're careful, especially this early in class. And now we have a choice of a left leg on top, a left leg in front, whatever is working. And this is not even something, you don't have to do the same thing on both sides always. So we're going to start with another variation of cat and cow. So we start with hugging the giant beach ball. Then we're going to inhale, look up, open up the arms. So this maybe helps us open up the neck a little bit more and the upper parts of the chest. But the breathing's the same. Exhaling on the cat. Inhale as we look up. Let's do two more. Last one. When we finish, we'll bring our hands down to the mat, walking this left hand out just a little bit so that we can use it to help support the body as we're doing the lateral flexion to the left side, which opens up the right side. do 2 more. And our last one. And now we'll do that half twist just to the left side. So I'm twisting to the left and releasing. Exhale for the twist. Inhale for the twist. And then, of course, if you want, maybe tapping the hands down. Being gentle with the spine always. We'll do one more. And when we finish up, we can, if it's comfortable, lean forward over the legs. You can always sit up straight or lean back into your hands. And then we'll walk the torso back up using our hands, and we'll release the legs. We can really shake out those legs. And then we can do another forward fold. Maybe it feels a little bit more comfortable now. And let's bring the torso back up over the legs. We are going to do a flow that I learned from another teacher named Macy, which will become important. It's never had a name, so we just called it the Macy Twisty thing all these years. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this right knee in to start off with. And we do 3 poses, and we move on every half breath. So we'll inhale, move, exhale, move. And because it's 3, you kind of end up rotating through the breath work. So it's got kind of an unevenness to it. So we start with, we inhale over the left leg. We come up, twist towards the right, release the twist, and then open up with the chest. And now we just repeat this. So the forward fold, and then the twist, and then the chest opener. So just flowing through these 3 poses, letting the breath kind of rotate around. And of course, if you're starting to warm up, one of the variations that people like to do is that when you come into the chest opener, you can lift the hip and come back down. But there's no need to do that if you don't want to. We'll do one more round. And then we can just rest for a moment. If you want, just bringing that right leg out and maybe just resting back onto the hands, maybe shaking out the legs. And then we'll start to switch sides. So this time we've got the left leg in, we've got the right leg out in front of us, and we'll fold over the right leg for the forward fold, then twist to the left, and then release the twist and open up the chest. And now that you know this, if you want to go straight into lifting the hips off the mat, you can, or you can do a couple rounds before you get there. Just keep breathing as we're flowing through. let's do one more round and then we'll come back into our rest. Just taking our time. Just giving those knees another shake out when we're done. Leaning back into the hands if you want. And if you're doing so, just making certain the shoulders are over the wrists for safety. We're going to go into some gate flow with some modified half moon. So we're going to bring the feet behind us. And we're coming up onto our knees. Now we're going to be on the knees for several minutes. So if you prefer, you can always fold the blanket underneath the knees or fold your mat. Roll your mat underneath your knees. We're going to start with our right foot out long. And the hardest part of the gate pose is trying to get the foot all the way down flat and the toes pointing to the side. Yeah. So you get this big kind of ankle stretch, which is honestly, we do not stretch the ankles all that much. So let's inhale, arms to shoulder height. So this is often called the gate prep pose. And then we're going to try to bring both arms towards the right foot. And then as we start this flow, we're going to just start with a balance to the left side. So right side heading towards gate, left side balancing, really getting our core to activate so that we feel that motion. And then this is 4. So if you want to start to bring the hand down, you can. So I usually start with fingertips first. And then when I feel ready, the hand. And then the option, once the hand is down, is to lift that right leg up. And then this next one, we're going to hold the balancing half moon. So the nice thing about being down on the knee is the finishing touch on balancing half moon is looking at the upper thumb. So we can try to look at the upper thumb, and if anybody falls over, then it's not as big of a fall as it would be normally. And then let's bring that right foot down and let's hold our gate pose. We'll inhale, come back up, and let's release this right leg. We'll start to bring the left leg out, trying to bring that foot down. Yeah, turning the toes to the side. We're in our gate prep pose, and then we start the flow. And so starting with just some balance, get the coordination of our core going. And now starting to maybe touch down, maybe the longest finger or the couple of fingers. And then when we're ready, the entire hand. If you would like to bring that left leg up, you're welcome to. Just taking our time. And then this next one, let's hold balancing half moon. And if we'd like, turning towards that left thumb, turning to look at it. We'll bring the left foot down, and then we're trying out that gate pose hold. And then we'll come back up and release. we are going to go into some hamstring flow with some lunging. So I'm just getting my blocks out because for me, first of all, the hamstring flow is a lot more comfortable when I have my blocks. And second of all, I kind of like the extra lift you get through the chest for the lunge. We're going to start with the right foot forward, and let's just find a comfortable place for the lunge. Bringing the chest up maybe. And once again, since we're on our knees a lot, we can always roll the mat up underneath the knees. And now let's start the hamstring flow. So if you want, flexing the foot or maybe keeping that toe bent. And we're just going between the hamstring stretch and the lunge, getting both hips moving. And then this next one, we're going to hold the hamstring stretch. And what I think about is maybe just a little bit of traction on the heel, so you feel the back side of the leg from the heel to the hip engaged, not just the hamstring, but the calf as well, the back of the knee, the hip. We'll come forward onto that right foot, and then we'll release the leg. I'm going to just place my blocks to the side for a moment. We're going to do a little bit of flow in between sides. And so it's sort of a little, almost a half rabbit, and then a camel pose. Have the hands behind the head. We want to think about having our elbows wide so that we're opening up the chest. We'll inhale, look up. Exhale, we're just rounding the back and either tapping the elbows on the legs or down on the ground. And then we roll back up. And so this is one of the few times where I actually roll my spine. So just moving slowly, moving carefully. It is not necessary to come down into a full hero with this. You can always leave the hips up. That's a little bit more like rabbit that way. Let's do one more round. We'll meet up in our camel. And we'll just take a few breaths here, thinking about opening up the pectorals as well as the neck, allowing the head to support the neck. And then we release. Okay, the other side. So I'm grabbing my blocks again, and we'll bring left foot forward. Let's start with that lunge. And we'll start the hamstring flow next, using the blocks to help support the pose if you would like. And seeing if maybe you can feel into that sort of tractioning when we were just pulling a little bit on the leg, the left leg in this situation, so that we feel the whole backside of the left leg engage. And then we'll finish this in the hamstring stretch. You can always point the toes if that makes it feel more comfortable. We'll release this left leg. We have the blocks off to the side. And let's start that sort of rabbit flow. We'll come down and then inhaling up, kind of working our way through our spine with a lot of core activation, which is a polite way of saying just keeping that core engaged so that it helps protect our lower back. And when we finish up this round, let's just pause down to the sort of half rabbit that we're doing. Elbows on the mat. You can lift the hips higher if you would like. We'll release and take just a little bit of rest in child's pose. You can always stack the hands, placing your forehead on your hands. And on the inhale, we're coming into a tabletop pose. So we always want to make certain that our hands are underneath our shoulders, our knees are underneath our hips, core is engaged. We're going to start a spinal balance. So unlike a lot of times, we're going to do one side and then the other side. So we're not going to actually alternate sides. We're doing kind of the balance. So let's start off with sliding our left toe back, our right hand forward. And let's stay here for a moment, giving our knees a chance to straighten out and relax. And then if you feel comfortable, floating up the hand. And then the harder part is bringing the foot up and still engaging the core, making certain that the hip is not hyped. So what I mean is we don't want to open up the hip towards that left side. We want to keep that left toe pointed down. And now let's flow into sunbird. If you can, tapping the knee to the elbow and then reaching out. So exhaling as the hand is coming in, inhaling as it's moving back out. We're going to do one more. And then coming back to our balance, we have the choice of staying here, or if you would like to bind, you can bind. We'll release. And let's just sit back. You can bring your hips down to your heels if you want, but just let's stretch the wrists a little bit. And then let's slide back up into our tabletop. We're switching sides now, so just making certain everything's in working order. Got the hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, core's engaged, and then left hand and right foot slide out. When we're ready, left hand comes up, and then making certain the core is engaged before we bring the right foot up. And let's tap underneath for sunbird, reaching back out on the inhale, exhale, tapping together. You don't have to bring them all the way together, we just try. Do one more, and then we can stay here in the spinal balance, or if you'd like to reach back, maybe a little bit more gracefully than I did, the bind. And then we'll release back and stretch the wrists for a moment. You can do this in child's pose if you would prefer, flipping the hands up towards the ceiling. From here, we'll reach the hands out, palms on the mat, and do a little plank flow to just start to get the shoulders warmed up. So we're in our variation of kneeling plank, and then we can exhale back to child's pose. And this is one of these things I prefer to have people's hands underneath their shoulders than getting the child's pose nailed perfectly. If we prefer, we can move into a little bit of a tricep dip and then come back up. That's not a complete flow through. It's making certain our arms and shoulders are ready to go for our actual flow. We'll do one more round, and then we'll meet back in child's pose, just the rest of the wrist for a moment. We're starting our transition to downward dog, coming back into tabletop. We want hands underneath the shoulders, thumbs pointed at each other, fingertips all spread out, starfish hands with the middle finger out, pointing out the front of the mat. We'll curl the toes under, lift our hips. And we can start with bending our knees so we can just get the shoulders down and back and our nice long spine. And then when we're ready, we're floating the heels down, maybe one at a time, alternating for walk the dog. And then if we're ready, floating both heels down. Looking up at our hands, hop, step, or walk to a forward fold. And then with soft knees, we'll inhale all the way up, standing, bringing arms overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart center. We're going to go into our half sun salutations or full salutations. If you'd like a drink of water before we get started, feel free to. So for our half sun salutations, we're going to do the lateral flexion half flow, and then we'll do sun salutation C for the full ones. So because we're going to be doing lateral flexion, I do like a little wider than normal. We'll start with hands at heart center. We're inhaling, arms overhead, lateral flexion to the right. Inhale up to extended mountain. Exhale to chair. Inhale in place. Exhale, fold. Inhaling monkey. Exhaling, fold. Inhaling all the way up to standing, arms overhead. Lateral flexion to the left. Inhale back up to extended mountain and release. And let's go backwards. Inhaling, arms up, we go to the left. Inhaling up to standing, exhaling to chair. Inhale in place, exhaling, fold. Inhaling monkey, exhaling, fold. Inhaling all the way up to standing, arms overhead, and then to the right. Inhaling back up to extended mountain and release. We've got two more pairs like that. So inhaling up and over to the right, we'll come back up to standing. exhaling to chair. Inhaling place, exhale, fold. Inhaling monkey, exhaling, fold. Inhaling all the way up to standing, arms overhead. Exhaling to the left. Inhaling back up to standing, exhale, release. And we'll do the left side. Inhaling, arms up, exhale to the left. Inhaling up to standing, exhaling to chair. Inhaling in place, exhaling, fold. Inhaling monkey, exhaling, fold. Inhaling all the way up to standing, arms overhead. Exhaling to the right. Inhaling back up and release. Okay, one more pair. Inhaling, arms up, exhale to the right. Inhaling up, exhale to chair. Inhale in place, exhale, fold. Inhaling monkey, exhaling, fold. Inhaling all the way up, standing arms overhead. Exhaling to the left. Inhaling back up, and release. Okay, here's our last half. Inhaling, arms up, exhaling to the left. Inhaling up to standing, exhaling to chair. Inhaling in place, exhaling, fold. Inhaling monkey, exhaling, fold. Inhaling all the way up to standing, arms overhead. Exhaling to the right. And then we'll inhale, come up and release. Okay, so Sun Salutation C has that same sort of camel motion in it, and we do runner's pose for the lunges. So we'll start hands at heart center, and then inhale, opening up the chest. Exhaling, flat back, forward fold. Inhaling monkey, exhaling, fold. Placing our hands on the mat, stepping the right foot back for runner's pose. Stepping left foot back for plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling, caterpillar or crocodile. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward dog. Looking up at our hands, we're stepping right foot forward, runner's pose. Left foot forward, forward fold. Inhaling all the way up to that standing camel. Exhale, hands to heart center. And let's do the left. Inhaling, opening up the chest. Exhaling, swan diving to forward fold. Inhaling, monkey. Exhaling, fold. Placing our hands on the mat, stepping the left foot back for runner's pose. Stepping right foot back for plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling, caterpillar or crocodile. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward dog. Looking up at our hands, we're stepping the left foot forward, runner's pose. Stepping right foot forward, forward fold. Inhaling to that standing camel. Exhaling, hands to heart center. And let's do another pair. Well, technically we're doing two more pairs, not to get people's hopes up here. Inhaling, opening up the chest. Exhaling, flat back, forward fold. Inhaling, monkey. Exhaling, fold. Placing our hands on the mat, stepping the right foot back for runner's pose. Stepping left foot back for plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling, caterpillar or crocodile. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward dog. Looking up at our hands, we're stepping the right foot forward, runner's pose. Stepping left foot forward, forward fold. Inhaling up to our standing camel. Exhaling to hands at heart center. And then the left. Inhaling, opening up the chest. Exhaling, swan diving to forward fold. Inhaling, monkey. Exhaling, fold. Placing our hands on the mat, stepping the left foot back for runner's pose. Stepping right foot back for plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling, caterpillar or crocodile. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward dog. Looking up at our hands, we're stepping left foot forward, runner's pose. Stepping right foot forward, forward fold. Inhaling, the standing camel. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Okay, one last pair. Inhaling, opening up the chest. Exhaling, swan diving. Inhaling, monkey. Exhaling, fold. Placing our hands on the mat, stepping the right foot back for runner's pose. Stepping left foot back for plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling, caterpillar or crocodile. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward dog. Looking up at our hands, we're stepping the right foot forward, runner's pose. Stepping left foot forward, forward fold. Inhale, up to standing, standing camel. Exhaling, hands to heart center. And now our last one, inhaling, opening up the chest. Exhaling, flat back, forward fold. Inhaling, monkey. Exhaling, fold, placing our hands on the mat, stepping the left foot back for runner's pose, stepping the right foot back for plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling, caterpillar or crocodile. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward dog. Looking up at our hands, we're stepping left foot forward, runner's pose, stepping right foot forward, forward fold. Inhaling, up to standing camel. Exhaling, hands to heart center. And a quick drink of water or rest if you would like some. Okay. 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 Let's do some medium holds. So, I got my blocks back. We're going to do these. Okay, so let's start in our mountain pose. Nice tall spine, cores engaged, glutes are engaged. Let's inhale, arms overhead. Exhaling into a fold. And let's pause here, just letting our body relax. We're moving into needle, so we're sliding the hands maybe a couple inches into the sides of the left foot, and then we're going to kick up this right leg. Now this is supposed to be a standing splits, but it is often not, and that's okay. We're going to bend our left knee. We're tucking the right knee behind it and sitting down. We're going into a sage twist. So nice tall spine and exhaling towards the left side. We'll release, twist. Okay. Jump back to plank. So you lean forward, grab onto the mat with the outside left feet. Yep. And now flow through or rest for a moment. That's probably one of the hardest transitions we ever make. And it looks like everybody did fine. When we're ready, we can resynchronize into downward dog, forward fold, or mountain pose. Those in downward dog can step into forward fold. Those in forward fold can come up to standing, bringing arms overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart center. And let's switch sides. So I'm gonna just get my blocks ready to go here. And then we're inhaling, arms overhead. Exhaling, flat back, forward fold. Pausing here. Into needle, lifting the left leg. So we're still folded over this right leg. And now that transition into sage twist, bending the right knee, tucking the left foot and leg behind the right leg, and coming down onto the hips. We'll inhale, sit up straight, exhale, twist towards the right. We'll release the twist, and one more transition to plank. So we bring the hands forward and then press off the feet. And after that, just flowing through or resting, whichever you would prefer. We're resynchronizing into downward dog, forward fold or mountain pose. Those in downward dog can step into forward fold. Those in forward fold come up to standing, bringing arms overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Quick drink of water if you want one. We're going to go into standing balances and then come back down to the ground. We're going to do kind of my favorite rebalance series next. So if you want to hold on, feel free to. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up into fierce pose with the knees in front of us and go to Captain Morgan with it out. And then we're going to turn that into tree. And I always find it's an interesting moment in tree because the foot is never where you think it should be normally, but it's probably where it should be for our body and where we're at today. So just being easy. So like I said, if you want to hold on, we all have support behind us. Otherwise, let's start with bringing right knee up and left knee up, and then arms overhead for fierce pose. And now opening up that left knee to the side. If you want arms at shoulder height or on the hips. And now to get to tree, we just bring the heel in. So for me, one thing is a little higher than I normally hold, but the knee is far further forward than I normally do my tree. And any attempt to get it to go back to that causes the butt to come out. So just leave it where it's at. We have hands at heart center, or if we have our balance, any other place. We'll release hands, we'll release the legs, shake everything out. Okay, starting on the other side. We start from our mountain pose, bringing the weight onto the left foot now. Right knee comes up, arms overhead, fierce pose. Really using the core to help hold that knee up, and then using the left glute to help us with our balance. And now opening up that hip for Captain Morgan, arms at shoulder height or on the hip. And now the foot just comes in. So one thing is, you'll also notice my toes are not connected just because I'm right above the knee. And then once again, not the best form, but to force myself into the better form causes other issues. When we have our balance, we can place our hands wherever we want. Bring hands to heart center. We'll release this leg. Let's dangle over the legs for a moment. We're not going to do a full dangling, but we're just going to forward fold over the legs. From here, we're going to bend the knees and just lower down as best as we can into a squat. And maybe if you're more comfortable with blocks under the heels or blanket, something underneath the heels, feel free to. So for me, there are a number of things that affect my ability to do squats. And one of them is my very tight calves. So I can't get the heels down in this pose very easily. And if it's comfortable, bringing the hands down. Just leaning into the hands a little bit. From here, we can just sit back onto the butts or come down to the butts, which might be, sometimes you can just pop and it's just easy. Other times, yeah. Let's come down to our stomachs. We're going to do some locust. Okay. Let's just start by resting for a moment. We'll slide our hands out in front of us. And what we're going to do is just, let's start with almost like we did in the spinal balance, right hand and left foot. You can have the hand head down. And then we'll release, resting for a moment. And then we'll switch sides. And then releasing. For this next round, we'll come up with both arms and legs. So for me, I can do one side with the arm out in front of the head, but it's painful to my lower back to do both. So I'm going to bring my hands to the side, but you're welcome to choose wherever you want your hands, including maybe back behind. Maybe that's actually what I'll do, is clasping hands behind, but feel free to make this your own pose. We'll release the pose. We'll bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Let's come into a wide knee child's pose to rest the body for a moment. And then we'll start up, coming into our pose for our final relaxation. You are welcome to stay in child's pose. As long as you feel comfortable holding it for several minutes, you can. Otherwise, maybe coming back onto our backs or our stomachs and doing whatever we need to do to prepare for meditation. So maybe hugging the knees to the chest. But when we're ready, finding a comfortable spot to relax in and staying here. Allowing our breath to provide relaxation in this moment, calming. And sometimes one of my favorite things to do lately has been 4-6 breathing, where we inhale to a count of 4 and then exhale for a count of 6. We'll finish with a reading from Melanie Beattie's book, Journey to the Heart. This one's titled, Clear the Path to Your Heart. I watched Old Faithful from my window. The geyser gurgled and spewed a low layer of steam. Then, true to its name, Old Faithful erupted and sprayed thousands of gallons of steaming water into the air, right on time. A full range of gurgling emotions, reactions, and responses to life line the path to the heart way. We need to feel them all: anger, hurt, sadness, irritations, in order to feel joy, to experience life and all its wonders. We must embrace all these feelings. We need to experience the little angers as well as the big hurts, the painful wounds that life sometimes brings. To insist that we will only feel pleasant emotions means we're blocking the pathway to the heart. We're ignoring all the other gurgling emotions that need to be felt. All our emotions are important. All need to be recognized. The energy of each needs to be acknowledged and released. This clears the way for love. All the emotions that precede love clear the heart, so it's pure and free to feel joy. Trust your emotions, all of them. You're not off the path. They lead to the path you're seeking. They are the journey to the heart. Let them flow freely, and sure as Old Faithful, your heart will come gleaming, shining through. Gently starting to move the body, waking up again. Stretching into the body. When we're ready, we can turn to the side for the fetal position, necking our shoulders and hips, and taking maybe a couple breaths before coming up to a seated position. We'll bring our hands up to heart center, connecting to our heart. The divine in me recognizes the divine in you, and that means namaste. Have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend. It's good to see you both.